With the Forever Summons coming a couple of days ago, everyone has the chance to get some pretty good units. We have until the 21st of June until it's fully finished, so around 38 days left at the time of recording. Here are the rates of pulling something according to how many units you're going after. Basically, the more units you're looking for, the higher chance that you'll get someone you want. But if you find a unit that you do want, or a unit that's good, definitely pick them, as future pulls aren't really guaranteed, and I've done multiple Forever Summons where I haven't gotten anyone good throughout the entirety of it. I'm sure that for all the vets, they know who it is that they want. Personally, I'm aiming for either Earth Vaulty or Water Vaulty, since they're basically the only good units that I don't have on this banner. But for those of you guys who might be a little newer, I'm sure this entire Forever Summons format might be a little bit confusing. To give a quick little insight into what the Forever Summons are and how they work, every day you're able to summon on the Forever Summons banner. It'll randomly offer 1 out of 196 units. If the unit is someone that you're aiming for, you're going to click on Decide on this unit and confirm it. If you decide that you don't want the unit, you can wait until the next day to roll for a new character. Also important to know, after skipping a unit, it'll fill your deluxe bar by 1. When the bar reaches full after 5 skips, you're able to deluxe the summon. This means that you're basically able to reroll your daily Forever Summon unit with a unit of the same element, without having to wait a day for the reset. As an example, let's say that you're aiming for Lisa, a light unit, but you end up getting a light unit you don't want, like Leon. Using the deluxe, it would randomly choose another light unit, and in this case, hopefully Lisa. This means that the smart way to use your deluxes is that you should save them for days that you get a character of the same element as your desired unit. So if you're aiming for Thetis, a water unit, wait for a day that a water unit you don't want drops, and then deluxe it for the chance to hopefully get Thetis. That's the gist of how deluxing works. As well as this, every day that you skip the Forever Summon unit, it fills your crystal meter by 1. So the longer you go without a unit that you want, the higher the crystal amount goes. This is good compensation for people that either need to wait forever for a unit, or they end up getting shafted entirely. If you end up not getting the unit that you want, it'll total to around 42 crystals, so it's not that bad to be honest. As for some newer players that might not know what to aim for, I'll try to give a little outline of the best units to look for in each element type. For the fire element, there aren't really any must picks, although the best unit to look out for is definitely going to be Priscilla. She'll provide your entire team with crit, as well as increasingly buffing their crit damage as there are more fire units on the team, up to a total of 120% crit damage with a mono fire team. Not a bad damager and damage buffer, although if you have an established crit buffer, you should be fine with skipping her for some other better units. For the water element, there's going to be a couple of good units, the best of which is definitely going to be Thetis. He's a great tank, actually the best one in the game as a matter of fact. He'll help you in tons of endgame content that needs tanking, including Ganon, Chloe, and Vitz. As well as this, he's still just as viable in JP to this day. There aren't really any missions that he can't tank as of now, which means he has great longevity. If you see him and you don't have him, I'd prefer you pick him up 100%. Another water unit that's fairly solid, although has fallen off a bit, is Vox. He used to be a meta damager, although nowadays he's been reduced to a crit buffer and healer of sorts. Don't get me wrong, he can be used as a DPS, it's just that there are plenty of better options. This doesn't mean he isn't usable though. His fast starts from skill and high stats up on art makes him a great pseudo healer of sorts. His Truar also helps to buff the team's damage if needed. He's a great unit, and if you're missing out on a crit buffer, he'd be a great addition, but he's definitely not as good as he used to be. There are also a few good earth units, starting with Sistina. She's a great addition to any box. Her art can provide arts and a shield to the team, and her defense slot allows her to bring more survivability, especially in nearly every endgame stage. Her Truar also allows her to buff physical units by a crazy 130% damage. This is still a crazy damage buff and is super helpful for your damagers. In all, she's a great unit that provides really great survivability in harder stages and damage buffs to the team when needed. If you don't have her, she's definitely worth a pickup. Moving on to Hart, or Haruto, whichever you'd like to call him, he's undoubtedly the best unit in the Forever Summons. He's one of the top 3 units in the game and debatably number 1 depending on who you ask. He provides a super strong 6% heal a second for 13 seconds on his Truar, as well as a ton of arts gauge. He'll be sure that your team stays alive in pretty much every stage in the game. If you need someone to heal your entire team, he's your guy. His art also helps to buff the team's art damage and lower earth res, which is nice for earth damagers. He also buffs your team's stats by 30% and is in all a great unit. If you see him pop up and you don't have him, choose him hands down. He's the best unit on the banner and will make lots of endgame content trivial. For the light units, I'd say there's really only one that you need, and that's going to be Lisa. Her True Art allows her to buff the team's equip CT by a crazy 50%, and that'll ensure your team is able to cycle equips insanely fast. In a lot of heavy hitting endgame content, she's almost irreplaceable and quite literally carries the team by boosting their equip CT recovery. This is especially overpowered in terms of defense equips that need to be up consistently, in which case she'll ensure that they're always active. As well as that, her passive allows her to increase her own equip CT by an extra 30%, meaning that her equips are going to come back even faster. Her debuffs on True Art are also great for magic and light units. If you don't have her, pick her up. She's a great unit and debatably the second best unit on this banner. For the final element, Dark, there aren't a whole lot of necessary units. The only one I could see you picking up is potentially Simon, since his crazy damage makes him both overpowered in nuking and in sustain if he's in the right teams. Some honorable mentions though, I'd have to say both Earth Volti and Miranda. Earth Volti is a great physical tank and tanks physical bosses quite well as buffing fellow Earth units' damage and putting a little damage out on his Phantom Bullet. Miranda is a magic tank that can buff the team's magic damage, as well as having 50% passive magic resist, which makes her tank extremely well against magic bosses. Vitz in particular becomes really easy with her. These are both great pickups, although I'd say if you want a tank, Thetis is going to be your guy hands down since he's good all around, but these definitely wouldn't be a bad pickup. Definitely pick one of these two units if you don't really feel lucky enough that you're going to pull Thetis or any other desired unit. And if you're looking into nuking, Fort would be a great pickup, as well as Darkfen, although Fort is better. Those are more so luxury, so don't care too much about this if you're new. So in all, the units that are going to be instant claims include Haruto, Lisa, Thetis, or Sistina. The second tier of great pickups also include Priscilla, Vox, Simon, Earth Volti, and Miranda. That's all there is in reference to Forever Summons though. Let me know what you think about it, and if you have any questions, feel free to ask me below. Good luck to everyone in their Forever Summon pulls, and thanks for watching.